Hello everyone, welcome to our presentation. So today we are going to talk about teaching the short story. But before that, the honorable to our lecturer Mr. Henry Saputra MPD and all my beloved friends that watch this video. Okay, let me start by introducing our group. We are from group 4. My name is Fahradila Azara and my other friend's name is Muhammad Rafi Arlintio, Novita Anggreni, Widya Karamina, and Elva Aristiani. Well, let's start. Teaching the short story. In ways we seldom consider, stories are central to our lives. We use narrative to construct our personal history, to instruct our children, to entertain one another, to provide the example for our arguments, and the last to record the history of our culture and our world. Well, let's move on to what are the elements of short stories. Well, I think everybody has already know about it. Well, the elements of short stories, there are setting. Setting tells the reader when and where the story takes place. And the second is character and characterization. What are the difference both of them? Okay, I'll explain it. Characters is the person, the people or the door that take part in the story, whereas the characterization is the personality of the characters, whether the characters is protagonist, the hero of the story, or antagonist, the villain of the story. The third one is conflict. Conflict is the problem that going to happen in the story. And the fourth is plot. Plot is describe the events in a pattern or in a sequence. And the last is theme. Theme is the underlying message that the writer would like to get across. Okay, now let's continue to the structure of a story. The first one is exposition. Exposition tells the reader about the background information of the story, that tells how the story begins. And go up to raising action. The action in the story leading up to the climax. It starts to lead up. And the third is climax. Climax is when the story reaches a crucial moment and turn down to falling action. Falling action is the action in the story after a climax is revealed. And we come to the last one is resolution. Resolution is finally the problem is solved. Well guys, now stories can be understood from four perspectives. They are textual perspective, social perspective, cultural perspective, and the last topical perspective that going to be explained by my other friends later on. Okay, now let's move on to the next slide. It's about characteristic of well-told stories. The characteristic of well-told stories are: the first is storytellers focus on extraordinary events. According to William Labov's theory of narrative, a story is worth to telling if it is about an unusual or extraordinary event, or Labov calls it tellability. And do you know, part of tellability is in the teller, in how the teller is able to dramatize a sense of extraordinary events to the reader. Moreover, the students are more likely to be engaged by reporting the extraordinary events than reporting the usual events. And the tellers may effectively dramatize the event by describing their own reaction. The second one is storytellers set the scene to create anticipation. In the beginning of a story, a teller or writer set the scene by announcing the topic, by describing the physical setting or place, by setting the scene or announcing the topic. And in other words, it helps the teller or writer establish that the events to be described as indeed tellable. The third is storytellers build and resolve conflict. Students may note that the tellers build conflict between a character and other characters. By setting the scene to create anticipation and by dramatizing the unusualness of events, tellers or writers create a tensioned conflict between what is happening and what could happen. By creating this tension, a teller or writer engages an audience or reader who then wants to know simply what will happen next. The fourth one is storytellers include or exclude specific information. Tellers or writers include or exclude information in their stories to engage audiences in varying missing links. The last one is storytellers signal important information. Certain information is particularly important or significant for understanding a text. For example, they may use title to highlight or abstract key aspect of a story. Certain words, phrases, or action being repeated also signal their importance to the narrative. Well, that's all from my explanation. Let's continue to the next explanation that will be explained by Raffi Arlintio. Thank you.